The size of the image captured by the camera is one of the most important settings when shooting your work, and bigger is better. What exactly do I mean by image size? Is it the size of the file when stored on the computer? For example, the number of kilobytes shown on this list of files? Is it the size of the image on paper when printed? For example, the 8" by 10" shown on this screen in Photoshop? Or is it something else? Before I answer that question, let's look at how a digital image is put together. An image, such as this one, is actually composed of millions of small squares of color. If I magnify the center of the image, you can see the individual squares. Each is a picture element, or pixel for short. When the pixels are arranged together in a grid, they create the image. And because the pixels are very small, remember there are millions of them, what we see is continuous lines and areas of color. Exactly how many pixels are there in an image? That depends on the camera's sensor. In this image, which is straight from the camera, there are 3,456 pixels horizontally and 4,608 pixels vertically. Those are the dimensions of the sensor inside the camera, and it's the maximum image size this camera can capture. Different camera models have sensors with other dimensions, so these numbers will vary for your camera. If I multiply the pixel width times the height, I get the overall size of the image. In this case, it's about 16 million pixels, or 16 megapixels, which is common for many new cameras. Now back to my earlier question. What am I referring to with image size? It's the number of pixels that make up the image. Why does image size matter? The number of pixels in an image determines its resolution, the extent to which small details can be seen or resolved by the eye. Resolution affects how images look, particularly when they are made larger. A low-resolution image, such as this one, looks okay, but the details are a bit fuzzy. When the image is enlarged by a factor of 3, the detail in the artwork disappears. This happens because there just aren't enough pixels to show the detail. A high-resolution image, such as this one, looks sharp and stays relatively sharp when enlarged. With more pixels, there are enough to show detail in the image when it's magnified for closer viewing or reproduced in a larger print. Let's look at the images side by side, the overall view and the enlarged view. Importantly, the resolution of an image is fixed once it's captured. You can't add resolution later. Photo editing software can increase the size of an image by adding pixels, but only by guessing at the color of each new pixel. For the sharpest images, therefore, it's best to set the camera to capture images at the largest size it can. That is to say, with the most pixels for the highest resolution. This will give you the most flexibility later when it comes time to use the images. Now let's look at how to set the image size on your camera to be sure you're getting the largest images with the highest resolution. This is the back of a typical Canon point-and-shoot camera. Most camera models have settings similar to what I'll demonstrate, although the menus and location of the settings may be different. You'll need to refer to the user manual for the specific steps with your camera. To set the image size, I first press the Function button, which opens the Function or Settings menu. Then I use the dial to find the image size settings and select the setting for the largest size. Here it's L for large, but on your camera it may be labeled high. Many cameras will help you find the setting you want by showing the size of the image at each setting. Here the overall size is 16 megapixels with a width of 4608 and a height of 3456, the same dimensions I showed earlier. The size of the largest print that can be reasonably made from the image also happens to be shown. Once I've made a choice, I press the Function button again to set the image size. On this Canon DSLR, the image size setting is accessed from the menu. I first press the menu button, and from the menu access the image quality settings. Then I use the dial to select the largest size. The image dimensions are shown on the display. Pressing the Set button again will complete the selection. If you're using a phone or tablet to photograph your work, the image size is usually already set at maximum and cannot be changed. That's it. Once you've set the camera to capture images at the largest size, you'll have photos of your work that are sharp and clear, with details that are easily seen when the image is enlarged or when reproduced in larger prints.